brother Michael Donahue as a butcher in the meatpacking district. He was welcomed, embraced, given a bed in a room he shared with two of his cousins. While in only a matter of weeks he grew to hate the sounds, the smells of the work, he earned his keep. Still, he dreamed of more. He found the more the first time he turned over a bit of that hard-earned pay to sit in a movie theater with Mary of the flaxen hair. There, he saw magic on the silver screen, worlds far beyond everything he knew, worlds holding everything a man could want. There, the sounds of bone saws, the thwack of cleavers didn't exist. Even Pretty Mary faded away as he felt himself pulled into the screen and the world it offered. The beautiful women, the heroic men, the drama, the joy. When he surfaced, he saw all around him the enraptured faces of the audience, the tears, the laughter, the applause. This, he thought, was food for a hungry belly, a blanket in the cold, a light for the damaged soul. Less than a year after he saw New York from the deck of a ship, he left it to head west. He worked his way across the country, amazed at its size, at its changing sights and seasons. He slept in fields, in barns, in the backs of bars where he traded his voice for a cot. Once he spent the night in jail after a bit of a dust-up in a place called Wichita. He learned to ride the rails and evade the police, and, as he would say in countless interviews over the course of his career, had the adventure of a lifetime. When, after nearly 2 years of travel, he saw the big white sign spelling out Hollywoodland, he vowed that here he would find his fame and fortune. He lived on his wits, his voice, his strong back. With the wit, he talked his way into building sets on backlots, sang his way through the work. He acted out the scenes he watched, practiced the various accents he'd heard on the trip from east to west. Talkies changed everything, so now sound stages needed building. Actors he'd admired in their silence on screen had voices that screeched or rumbled, so their stars burned out and fell. His break came when a director heard him singing while he worked, the very tune the once silent star was supposed to romance his lady with in a musical scene. Liam knew the man couldn't sing worth shite, and had his ear to the ground close enough to have heard there was talk about using another voice. It was, to his mind, simply being sure he was in the right place at the right time to be that voice. His face might not have appeared on the screen, but his voice held the audience. It opened the door. An extra, a walk-on, a bit part where he spoke his first line. Building blocks, stepping stones, forming a foundation fueled by the work, the talent, and the Sullivan tireless energy. He, the farm boy from Clare, had an agent, a contract, and began in that golden age of Hollywood what would be a career that spanned decades and generations. He met his Rosemary when he and the pert and popular Rosemary Ryan starred in a musical, the first of 5 films they'd make together in their lifetimes. The studio fed the gossip columns stories of their romance, but none of the hype was necessary. They married less than a year after they clapped eyes on each other. They honeymooned in Ireland, visiting his family as well as hers in Mayo. They built a grand glamour of a home in Beverly Hills, had a son, then a daughter. They bought the land in Big Sur because, as with their romance, it was love at first sight. The house they built facing the sea they named Sullivan's Rest. It became their getaway, then as years passed, more their home. Their son proved the Sullivan-Ryan talent spanned generations as Hugh's star rose from child actor to leading man. As their daughter, Maureen, chose New York and Broadway. Hugh would give them their first grandson before his wife, the love of his life, died in a plane crash returning from a location shoot in Montana. That son would, in time, place another Sullivan star on the screen. Liam and Rosemary's grandson, Aidan, believing, as with Sullivan tradition, he'd found the love of his life in the silky blonde beauty of Charlotte DuPont, married in glittery...